Martin's body was lying motionless on the bed. Barely 24 hours after Martins died, Amara ends her life. The 7 days had passed. Martins made his decision. He couldn't bring himself to sacrifice Amara because of the love he felt for her and because the coven had shown him that there would be no escape from their hold over him. He would sacrifice others instead to keep her alive and replace her in a way that would keep that bond intact. It is a more darker deal, but it was the only way to keep them both. On the seventh night, Martin stood before the coven leader once more. He had done what was required, bringing back the first soul, a young girl, innocent, someone who had been in the wrong place at the wrong time. Martins had to sacrifice her in order to ensure that Amara stayed alive. Well done, Martins, the first of many. Do not forget, 2 lives every day, or her life will be lost. Martins turned away, feeling the weight of the coven's demands on his shoulders. Every day, 2 more souls. How long could he keep this up? And what would happen if Amara ever found out the truth? The next morning, when Amara woke up, she noticed nothing strange. Martin seemed just as perfect as ever, smiling, charming, and attentive. He didn't show the signs of the internal torment he was feeling. He acted like everything was normal, like nothing had changed. But in his heart, he knew that each passing day was a sacrifice, and as long as he loved Amara, he would continue paying the price. It started small, longer hours away from the home, heavier silence at the dinner table, but lately the difference was written all over him. His once sharp, alert eyes now seemed weighed down with shadows. His shoulders drooped, as if carrying a burden too heavy for one man. By the time he came home each night, he looked completely drained, sometimes collapsing on the couch without even touching his food. Amara noticed at first. She thought it was stress of business. They were planning their wedding after all. The date had been set and preparations were in full swing. Guest lists, venue reservations, even discussing colors and attires. But Martins was distracted. He would sit there pretending to listen, but she could see his mind wandering, far away from her, far away from the excitement they were supposed to be sharing. He wasn't just tired, he was absent. What Tamara didn't know was that Martin's exhaustion had nothing to do with work in the way she imagined. The real work was finding the sacrifices his grandmaster demanded. And not just any victims. The specifications were painfully exact. The same age range, the same height, the same build. The replacement had to match Amara so perfectly that the coven would accept them in her stead. Every single day, Martins had to find these women. Every single day, he had to deliver. And failure wasn't an option because if he missed even one day, the Grandmaster had made it clear both he and Amara would be finished. He had been in the coven long enough to know there was no second chances. The rules were absolute, the consequences swift. This was the price of everything he owned, his wealth, his influence, his life as he knew it. But now, the price felt heavier than ever because it was no longer just about him. And so, even as Amara flipped through wedding magazines and discussed honeymoon destinations, Martin's mind was elsewhere, counting hours, scanning faces, strategizing how to meet the impossible quota that kept them both alive. With each passing day, the hunt became harder. The kind of women the Grandmaster demanded seemed to vanish from the street, as if the world itself was running out of them. Martins was everywhere, in crowded markets, busy supermarkets, bus stops, malls, always searching. At first, it had been about saving Amara. Now it was something else entirely. His mind was consumed by it. He was no longer just searching, he was obsessing. Amara noticed the way he barely looked at her, how his phone was always in his hands, eyes darting across the screen as if she didn't exist. She noticed the profiles he had made, dating apps she didn't even know he had, each one describing the type of woman he was looking for, the type that sounded exactly like her. When she saw the status, single and searching. It cut deeper than any wound she had ever felt. No explanation, no conversation, just a stranger in her fiance's skin. She couldn't take it anymore. One night, while he was out again, she packed a small bag. She left a short letter on the table. Martins, I don't know who you are anymore. You don't talk to me. You don't see me. You don't even act like we are getting married. I need space. Time to think. Please don't look for me until you're ready to tell me the truth. Then she was gone. She rented a small place across town, far enough to breathe, close enough to watch if she wanted to. Martins came home to the empty house. He read the letter, and for the first time in years, his hands shook. Betrayal burned in his chest. The girl he was destroying himself for, the one whose life he was literally bleeding for, had walked out on him without even hearing his side. In his mind, her leaving wasn't a cry for answers, it was proof she didn't trust him. And if she didn't trust him, why was he still killing for her? He thought. The coven's chamber glowed with its usual dark fire, shadows dancing along the walls. Martin stood before the Grand Master, his jaw tight, his mind made up. I'm done, he said coldly. Take her. I'll bring her myself. The Grand Master's lips curved into something between a smile and a sneer. Are you sure, Martins? You've kept her alive this long. Now you hand her over. She left me Martin's part. I've been bleeding myself dry for her, and she walked away. Why should I protect someone who doesn't trust me? The Grandmaster stepped down from his throne, his presence towering over Martins. Oh, Martins, you think you understand the bond you have with her? You don't. Martins frowned. What are you talking about? She's not just the woman you love, the Grandmaster said slowly. From the moment you defied me and chose her life over my command, your souls became intertwined. You carry her inside you, and she carries you. The pact has made you one life. Martin's stomach dropped. So the Grandmaster said, if you bring her soul here, you bring your own. Only difference is she will die instantly, you will die in 7 days. Enough time to regret, to feel the weight of what you've done before you rot. Martin staggered back, the reality crashing into him. He had thought sacrificing her would end the burden. Instead, it would end them both. It had been nearly a month since Amara left. The house that had once felt alive with promise now felt like a shell. Martins had tried to fill the emptiness with work, but nothing could fill the void left by her absence. Every day he hunted, trying to find a way to fulfill the Grandmaster's demand. But no matter how hard he tried, the sacrifice grew harder to make. His soul felt more shattered with each passing day. But tonight, everything changed. Amara walked back into his life like a force of nature. She hadn't told him where she went, but she knew she was stronger, more certain of herself. It was almost as if the time apart had given her the clarity she needed. She wasn't the young girl who relied on him for everything anymore. Now she was demanding answers. She didn't let the silence last long. Martins, we need to talk. Her voice was steady, but there was an edge to it. She walked into the room, standing tall as she faced him. He looked at her, not knowing where to begin, feeling the weight of his guilt and fear. But she wasn't the same as when she left. There was something in her eyes now, determination. I need to know what's going on, Martins. You're pushing me away, and I can't keep pretending like I don't feel it. Martins took a deep breath, trying to keep his composure, but inside, he was falling apart. The Grandmaster's words echoed in his mind. Amara's eyes searched his face. If you're not ready to be with me, I will leave, just say it. But I can't live with this distance and silence anymore. It's eating me alive. The pressure built inside him, and before he could stop himself, he shouted, okay, okay. His voice trembled, but he couldn't hold it back anymore. I'll tell you, looking down, his words trembling as he confessed. I'm a ritualist. I made a deal a long time ago. The wealth, the power, everything I have, it's all from dark forces. I've been sacrificing people to keep it. You're part of the deal now. Amara froze. Her hand went to her mouth. as she took a step back, unable to comprehend what she was hearing. You, you're lying, right? Tell me you're lying. Tell me this is just some sick joke. But he didn't lie. I never meant for it to happen like this. I never meant for you to get involved like this. But I'm trapped. I've been sacrificing lives every day. People who look like you, who have your face, your age. I've tried to keep you out of it. But the coven, they don't care. They want you, Amara. And now, if I don't bring soul to them, I will lose everything. I will lose you and they will destroy me. Her heart shattered. The truth hit her like a punch in the gut, and she staggered back, unable to stand. Tears welled up in her eyes as the reality of it all began to sink in. He wasn't the man she had fallen in love with. He was just another man broken by his own choices. Amara collapsed onto the couch, sobbing. Why didn't you tell me this before? All this time, all the lies, the promises, and now you tell me the truth? Martin stood still, his heart breaking as he watched her cry. He had loved her so deeply, and he still do, but he had destroyed her, and now he would never be able to fix it. Amara, I never meant for you to get caught up in this. I never wanted you to know. I didn't want to lose you, his voice broke. But now it's too late. They are going to take you if I don't. If you don't what? Amara looked up at him through blurred eyes, shaking her head. I can't believe this. I can't. How could you keep something like this from me? How could you lie to me every day, every moment we spend together? Her tears continued to fall and she cursed him. I hate you for this, Martins. I trusted you. I loved you. And now look at what you've done. Look at what you've made me part of. The days grew darker for both of them. She tried to escape the realization of what Martins had become, of what he had dragged her into. Felt too much to bear. She rented a place of her own, trying to find some kind of peace, but the weight of the past still hung heavy over her. She thought she could escape the dark forces that tied them, but the pact was inescapable. It had marked them both. The moment she tried to move on, a supernatural grip tightened around her, pulling her back into the chaos. The coven's influence was too strong. There was nowhere she could hide. Meanwhile, Martins, tormented by the choice he had made, couldn't live with the thought of losing her to the dark forces or seeing her in pain. Every day the guilt troubled him, but the love he had for her, the one thing he had never known before, was the only thing that drove him. One evening, as the moon rose, he made his decision. The Grandmaster's demand echoed in his ears: 2 life a day, or your souls will be mine. But even then, Matthews knew he couldn't meet that demand anymore. He couldn't continue killing to keep her alive. It was exhausting, more like the living dead. No sense of a human, just a killing machine. A human Dracula that haunts day and night. But what if he could end this? End it all? Martin stood by the window, staring out at the dark night. He closed his eyes, thinking of Amara's smile, of their plans for the wedding, of the life they could have. He could feel her presence in his mind, as though she were standing beside him. He shook his head as he reached for his phone, dialing her number for the last time. Amara, he whispered, his voice barely a breath. I'm sorry for everything. I couldn't save us. I couldn't save you. Amara stood in her rented apartment, the phone pressed to her ear. It had been weeks since she had heard from him, and she felt her heart racing in her chest. Martins, she whispered, as if she had been waiting for his call. She was numb, unsure of what to feel anymore. The weight of the world had already come crashing down on her. She had tried to move on, to free herself, but now it felt like they were always connected, no matter how far she ran. What is it, Martins? She asked softly, the pain in her voice clear. She didn't want to hear his excuses, but something told her that this would be the final conversation. I'm sorry, Amara, he said, his voice breaking. There's no way out. There never was. I've been trying to keep you safe, but the cost is too high. I can't keep this up. I can't keep sacrificing life. I'm tired. She closed her eyes as the tears finally came. She had loved him truly, but the weight of his choices had broken her spirit. Yet she felt something deeper, a strange tug between them, an unspoken bond. Martins, what are you saying? What do you mean? She asked. But in her heart, she already knew. I'm ending it, Amara, he said, the words coming out slow. I can't keep killing for you, but I can't lose you either. She gasped, the cold realization setting in. No, 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 you don't have to. No, Martins, no. I have to, he interrupted. I love you, but the only way out is to end us both. I have made my peace with it. I just called you to tell you that. Martin's final choice wasn't just for her life, it was for her own soul as well. The coven's price had already been paid. One soul, a fast death in exchange for keeping Amara's life until 7 days. And now, the moment had arrived to end it all. He stood in the center of the coven's chamber, the dark mirror glowing in front of him. The calabash was already waiting, a vessel for the ultimate sacrifice. He whispered, I love you, Amara. I will always love you. And then he stepped forward, offering their lives for the final ritual. The calabash filled with his blood first, and in that moment, the dark forces claimed the prize. The next morning, Amara awoke to silence. She could feel the absence of Martins, but in her heart, she knew it was too late. Her phone had been left with a final message from him. I'm sorry I couldn't save us, Amara, but I love you. I will always love you. You have 7 days to live. You must choose. Save yourself from this curse or be consumed like I was. Whatever happens now, know that I love you. Do what you must, but choose wisely. Your fate, like mine, is sealed. Her heart broke all over again, but she knew now it was too late. The cost of their love had been too high, and the price of ambition, of materialism, of darkness had consumed them both. Amara couldn't breathe. She ran to his house, her heart racing with every step. The world was a blur, a haze of panic, and yet her legs carried her without hesitation. She entered his apartment, her breath caught in her throat, and there he was. Martin's body was lying motionless on the bed. The man who had been her everything, the one she thought was her future, was now nothing more than a corpse. Screams tore through her throat. Raw and broken, she dropped to her knees beside him, feeling the coldness of his lifeless form. Her mind couldn't process the reality of it. He couldn't be gone. He couldn't be dead. Her hand shook as she reached for him, the emptiness swallowing her whole. She took his body into her arms, lifting him gently as though doing so would somehow bring him back to life. After a while, Amara lay beside him on the floor, her mind unraveling, her tears soaked his clothes, and the memories of their love, the laughter, the warmth, the promises flooded her like a tide. She held onto the fabrics of his shirt, pulling it to her chest. She buried her face in it, breathing in the familiar scent of him. I'm nothing without you, Martins, she whispered, her voice cracking. Her thoughts spiraled as dark visions overtook her. Voices seemed to call her name from the dark. The room seemed to pulse with a strange energy. It was as if the walls themselves were closing in. She started to rock back and forth, mumbling incoherently, controlled by the overwhelming force of grief and loss. The Grandmaster's influence began to seep through the monitoring mirror, twisting her mind, turning her sorrow into madness. She sat up, still holding his shirt tightly in her hands. As she stared into the mirror across the room, she saw a faint glimmer, a shift in the reflection, a spirit. It was Martin's, or at least it appeared to be. He spoke, but his voice was hollow, as though it came from both the other side and the depths of her soul. Amara, come to me. You know you belong with me. Come and I will hold you forever. She reached out, hands trembling as if she could somehow touch him. But the image flickered. The vision of his spirit began to fade. No, she cried out desperate. The voice came again, this time clearer, more sinister. You have to be like me. You must be dead to hold me. Amara's heart raced. The world around her was spinning, and she could barely breathe. The idea of being without him, without Martins, consumed her. She couldn't imagine a life where she wasn't in his arms. She couldn't bear the idea of living without him. But there was another choice. Could she save herself? She saw the mirror again, and this time there was no light at all, only darkness, the coldness of his words echoing in her mind. You must be dead to hold me. Her hands tightening around the fabrics of his shirt. She was torn, but as the darkness pressed in on her, she knew there was no way out. Martins was gone, and without him, she was nothing. She would be nothing. The Grandmaster's command was clear. She was to die. In a final act of desperation, barely 24 hours after Martins died, Amara ends her life, believing she would be reunited with Martins. The supernatural forces claimed her, and in doing so, both she and Martins perish, bound forever to the pact she had unknowingly signed, the cost of ambition, material gain, and spiritual blindness. Thank you guys for coming to the end of this video. I appreciate you so much for watching this video to the very end. And if you like this video, if you like what we are doing here, please do well to like, share, and subscribe. Moral lesson: in the pursuit of material wealth or power, they sacrificed not only their souls but their lives. Their love was not enough to save them, and they paid the ultimate price.